You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. LSU football had the spring game on Saturday, but it wasn't just about the practice or the fake football on the field. That's giant recruiting opportunity as well. And the Tigers did pop one. Deshawn McBryde committed to LSU. Four-star safety out of Denham Springs. So LSU picks up another commit for 2024. Our buddy Shea Dixon from On3, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here to talk about it. Shady, we appreciate you as always, man. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on as always. I'm thinking of what you just said, and it rings true on a number of levels. Quite often, it is not just about the spring game or what's happening on the field when half of your team isn't even out there and you're running scripted stuff, but more so about recruiting, which is never evidenced more by them taking the eye of the tiger off the midfield and just putting the recruiting logo on it.
We'll get to, you know what? Actually, let's start there. How would you elaborate just a little bit with that, like the significance of that, or why they would even do that?
Well, I mean, the path and, the state of Louisiana, that whole emblem is graduate champions, all that has been different mantras that Kelly's gotten behind. But this path specifically is football, right, in terms of recruiting and what it means to join that and follow in the footsteps of whether it be other Louisiana guys or other former greats that have played at LSU and come through the program. And do I think anybody in the class is committing because they put that at midfield instead of the I? No. But I do think it rings true to the reality that they know that recruiting is the lifeblood of this program, and putting an actual push behind it like the path and like graduate champions and all these different things, I think adds an element that, to me, lets me know that they're taking it very seriously.
Remember a few years ago, Mississippi State put hashtag Hail State on their field when trying to get hashtag. I mean, it's obviously something we all do now, but like trying to get hashtags trending, right? I mean, so yeah, it's there are those opportunities where it's significant. All right, let's talk about Juwan McBryde. Safety out of Denham Springs. What can you tell us about him? Or Deshawn McBryde, I'm sorry.
I mean, we've got Lane out here wearing hashtag transfer to the SIP sweatshirts to coach in during games. I mean, let's be real. It is always about recruiting.
Yeah.
Deshawn McBryde is the first Denham Springs football player. Obviously, they've got a pretty good baseball player on their team, but first football player since Caleb Radia a handful of years back at least. But comes through Denham Springs, led the program. I think it was the record. I do believe it is the record, with 9 picks a year ago from the safety spot. But as a junior in high school, Matt, he's 6'3", 200. So he could grow into a big safety. He can maybe play linebacker if he ever felt the need. But regardless, he right now in On3 rankings is a top 5 player in Louisiana. And that's what a lot of people have asked is, coming off a year ago when it was very understandable that, hey, Matt, you've Googled the On3 rankings and you're looking at the top 10 guys in Louisiana, and a lot of them are going elsewhere, whether it was Arch or Eli Holstein or, Tackett Curtis and Derek Williams at Westgate and Jaden Osbury at U-High, whomever it might be. It didn't look normal, but it was understood that, all right, they've had some bad seasons, 500 seasons, a losing season in 1 year, and they were making a transition to a new coach. Now I look at the top 10 in the On3 rankings, and with Juwan Johnson recently decommitting from Colorado, nobody's committed to an out-of-state school, and LSU's now got 3 guys in the class with the addition of Deshawn McBryde, who are top 10 players in the state. So we're starting to see those much-needed dominoes drop where if you lock up this state, which is one of the best per capita at producing high-level FBS players and certainly NFL players, you're set up for success, which is a big reason Brian Kelly took this job.
So McBryde gets LSU a top prospect in Louisiana to stay home. Are they done at safety, or is there more work to do there?
Oh, there's more work to do. I would say maybe halfway home. So they've got, you look right now, Matt, at the team, and we knew that, hey, they've got Greg Brooks and Major Burns coming back. Those are returning starters. That's great. Those guys are at the back end of their careers. And really the other veteran, quote unquote, in the safety room would be Sage Ryan, who will be in his third year. And he's obviously broken onto the field, playing some safety, playing nickel in the spring, and that might be where he ends up in the fall. But he's also getting older. So who's up next? And Matthew Langlois has been injured for a couple of years. They had some safeties leave the program the past couple of years. And really now you've brought in this new crop of Tobiano and Yates and even a guy like Ashton Stamps out of Rummel could play safety. You've got some young guys, but how do you continue to add to that? I think they need a big safety haul. So 2 guys now committed with McBride and Maurice Williams out of Texas, who's also a top 200 prospect, high 4-star. And they're still in it on a number of others, including one local guy, Joel Rogers at West Louisiana, who has an offer at safety. He's another top 20 prospect nationally at safety. So they're well on their way to having a very good safety class. I just don't think it's done yet.
Shea Dixon's with us on Twitter at Shea Dixon. You mentioned Juwan Johnson, who had been committed to Colorado, decommitting. What can you tell us about that?
So he went to Colorado Spring Game this past weekend and ended up on Sunday decommitting and moving on. And it's been an odd, 48 hours since Saturday Spring Game, because last I checked, they had 15 players hit the portal in that stretch. And look, I'm sure that many of them, out of Deion's own mouth, was after spring, this roster is going to look different. So guys are leaving. But I believe one of their better receivers hit the portal, and then Juwan Johnson, who's one of their highest-ranked commits, decides to open things back up. He told us, we've got an interview right now with him on the site that Sam Spiegelman did, that he rushed the decision, he got caught up, he wants to take things a little more slowly. But I think there's also the reality that anybody can understand this. He's got offers from everyone in the country. When you've got to, and look, this isn't what he came out and said, but I've seen many people who said when it comes to Colorado, really getting these kids and holding on to them, distance is what you're beating out. And Matt, if you're in Lafayette, you have to drive to wherever to fly out Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Houston. If you're flying out of Lafayette, no matter what, you're having to go to Dallas to then connect to Denver and drive over to Boulder. And when you're talking about family coming to see you and you getting home, it's a lot. If you've got options that are all over the place, a lot of these kids ultimately are going to lean back to, well, I've got LSU right down the road. Hey, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Bama, A&M, Texas, all these schools are drivable for me. Arkansas, Colorado is going to have to make a really big pitch with a lot of these national kids to overcome that hump when guys have options closer to home.
Shea, I'm looking at the On3 recruiting prediction machine that you all have up, and there's a 59% chance that Johnson ends up as part of LSU's class. You'll have it at 31% that he ends up in Colorado. Safe to say that LSU should be the leader at this point?
I thought LSU was the leader before. That was where my pick was before he kind of unexpectedly said, hey, look, I'm about to make an announcement, and word kind of spread that, oh, whoa, look, he's coming off a Colorado visit. He's about to announce right now. And I moved it to Colorado, and he committed there. And not 2 months later, he's, as was his own interview, saying what most people would understand of, hey, I was coming off a big visit. Coach Prime and they had a lot of buzz at the moment. That was kind of at the height of the Colorado buzz. And he got on board. And now he said, hey, look, I've had time to reflect. I've visited both schools in that time, and I just want to take a step back and start things over. So for me, that puts LSU back as the team to beat moving forward.
All right, a couple more for you, Shea. Look, Joe Burrow and all the guys, Jamar, Clyde, all the guys from 2019 that were there, how sort of an obvious question, man, but how big of a deal is that to have those guys there for the spring game on Saturday from a recruiting purpose?
I think it's huge. Think of this. Well, all these guys get to hang out and get their photos with all of them. And are you going to commit to that school because of that? No, but it makes it a very cool experience. And it's not just those guys, because I've talked to a number of other recruits who were saying, look, I had guys hit me up who were on other visits at other colleges saying, man, I wish I were there. I'm not getting to hang out and take photos with all these different people and meet all these other, former LSU athletes right now. And for Louisiana kids and kids beyond, that's a big deal. So it doesn't hurt, I'll tell you that. I think these kids love seeing that and seeing guys come back. And when there are big weekends like that, everybody wants to be a part of it. And guys who aren't kind of wish they had made it in.
Shea, portal window is open here. Are we expecting LSU to lose any guys into the portal?
I don't know if it's anyone that goes into the portal at this stage, in my mind, is going to be someone that just doesn't see a path to the field, because so many guys got reps in spring. So, you've got a lot of new guys joining the program. A lot of guys are jockeying for positions. So I'd be surprised, but then again, I could see one or two names going in if they felt like, hey, look, I really don't have a path to the field. Mm-hmm. I know everybody's just paying attention to quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier, and certainly LSU can make the case that they have the best 1-2 punch in the country at quarterback in terms of guys you'd be willing and confident to trot out there and win you games. But I've heard no buzz on that. Honestly, with the deadline already passed to transfer to another SEC school, unless he wants to leave the SEC, he's set up well. If Jaden sprains his ankle in a game, he's the starter, and anything beyond that, he's competing and then taking over the starting job with no competition behind him, or at least people coming in to take it from him, because if he's still on this roster by then, there's no need to go into the portal for a quarterback. You've got a great one in Nussmeier.
He's Shea Dixon on Twitter, at Shea Dixon, giving it on 3 the Bengal Tiger. Great stuff as always, man. We appreciate the time, and we'll visit again soon.
Yes, and I'll say quickly, Trey'Dez Green, the number 2 player in the state up at East Feliciana, tight end, number 3 tight end in the country, announces Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So maybe I'll jump back on later in the week. And if that's good news for LSU, as I think it will be, that's a big pickup, another domino in state.
Shea, is he going to be a 2-sport guy?
He does have an offer to play basketball as well. You know the track record there. Those are 2 sports. Like, a lot of guys have been sprinters and done both of that, or baseball. Basketball and football is tough. It sort of overlaps. So he has the opportunity to do it. We saw that with Jordan Tolles recently. Like, hey, if you want to come in and walk on, go for it. He's a very good basketball player. But I do know that he would be on a football scholarship if he commits, and that would be the main focus.
Okay. All right, Shea, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You got it, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.